Sorry. Council members, mayor. My name is Ron Van Benschoten. I reside at 52 North Division Street. On August 24th at 1:30 a.m., 2 dogs were recorded on my front door camera. Same dogs as weeks before. Within 5 seconds, they proceeded to my back door where the dogs found an opossum feeding at my stray kitty food bowl. In 10 seconds, the opossum was viciously killed. The dogs then took the opossum to my backyard and stood over their prize, all caught on cameras. Seconds later, the dogs headed next door to where they probably found Felix sleeping on his bench and killed him. Felix was less than 10 feet from his bench. I knew nothing of what happened until 4:30 a.m. when I awoke to check the food bowl. Items had been disturbed. I went inside to see what the camera had captured, anything. I was horrified at the 10-second video of the gruesome killing of the opossums. The dogs also returned at 3:30 and found nothing to kill, also captured on camera. Around 5:30, I called APD front desk and explained what happened. She asked if I wanted an officer sent. I declined because it was just an opossum. My mistake, because even an opossum's life matters. I asked if she could have officers keep an eye out for the dogs. At 6:30 a.m., my phone rang and a mutual friend of mine and my neighbors called me. Before he could say one word, I asked, "Those dogs didn't get Felix, did they?" His response was, "Yes, they did." I ran over, and there was a towel laying on the ground covering Felix. I uncovered him, put my hand on him, and broke down saying, "I'm so sorry, Felix." I then called APD front desk back and asked, "Could you please send an officer?" because now Felix was involved. Officer Fabiani arrived. I showed him the video. He took a picture of the possum. We then went to where Felix was lying on the ground, and he took a picture there. Within the next couple days, a friend of my neighbor's called and told her his kitty was also killed. He was out of town. When he arrived back home the next day, his neighbor told him his deceased kitty was lying in some bushes. He lives next to the First Ministry Church on Wall Street. It doesn't take much to connect the dots. We are only missing one dot. Where do these dogs live, and what's going to be done about it? Blake was killed by a different pair of dogs. Remember, it's not the dog's fault. This is 100% the owner's fault. I'm asking for a moment of silence for Felix, Blake, and the other kitties killed by the dogs and also the wild animals. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sir.
Good afternoon, Mayor. My name is Dewin Johnson of Oak Creek Townhouses. I came to talk about a much-needed crosswalk between Key Bank and Tops on the west end. Time after time, I've noticed citizens of the city having a difficult time crossing West Genesee Street to get to the bank, to and from Tops, or whenever they get off the bus, going to Key Bank. I believe we need a crosswalk there in order for residents to navigate properly across from Tops to Key Bank. Also, I believe we need like the neon green signs. Whenever you cross, you press the button, blinks on both sides whenever residents need to cross, all the way up to there's a green bus stop right at the edge of the parking lot. So in conclusion, Key Bank and Tops on the west end, we really need a crosswalk as soon as possible or within the next few months.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson. She was next, and then you can. No, go ahead.
I hope you can see these, but if you can't, I have the photos for each of you. Thank you. Good evening. My name's Sue Davis, and I live on Sherman Street. On Saturday, August 24th, I was shocked by the Ring camera video of 2 vicious dogs hunting and killing animals on a porch on North Division and Van Anden. Was it an opossum or a cat? It's impossible to tell from the video, but the gruesome remains of both were found in the neighboring yards that morning. Even more shocking, I read that several cats have been killed in that neighborhood this summer. There's several videos and photos of a pair of dogs running loose in this area in recent weeks. I'm not a resident of that neighborhood, but this is my city. I don't have all the facts, but I have no idea why this dangerous situation has been allowed to continue. It must stop now. School started this week, and I fear what may happen if those irresponsible owners are allowed to continue to let these dogs, that can be aggressive at times, roam free. In August, a 3-month-old Rochester baby was killed in his own home by the pair of family dogs. It was the direct result of the owner's blatant negligence. They were charged with murder. In Canandaigua on the 12th, a 3-year-old playing in his yard was attacked. Once the dog's owner was identified, he was issued a ticket on the 19th and had a court appearance on the 20th. On the 29th, that same dog was allowed to roam free again. It viciously attacked a 10-year-old boy and his dad from behind as they walked down the street. Both received very serious injuries, and the boy was hospitalized. Only this week was the dog taken in, away from the owners. Is Auburn going to be next? The negligent owners of the killer dogs on the Vanandon Street video don't seem to be able to control their animals. If they can't be responsible and keep them inside or contained in their property and continue to pose a threat to the neighborhood, these dogs need to be removed and rehomed with people that will care for them properly. As a former dog owner and greyhound foster parent, I know that even the most conscientious owners have had an accidental escape on occasion. That's not the case here. This is happening over and over and over. I'm disappointed. This week I learned that this situation has been brought to your attention at least twice this summer, yet it continues. We elected you. As I see it, you work for us. The dog warden and APD work for you. Please direct your employees to do whatever is necessary before someone is very seriously injured or killed. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Davis. Is there anybody else wishing to be heard this evening? Dr. Hernandez? Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, yes.
Go right ahead. No, go right ahead.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jennifer Lease, and I live at 95 Wall Street, next to the church that was spoken about. I am here tonight to discuss the issue of these dogs roaming. From my understanding, there is more than one set of 2 dogs roaming. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there is more than a set of dogs roaming and killing cats. I happen to be one of the owners with a cat that was killed. He was 12 years old. He was my son's cat. He was born in my bedroom. He didn't deserve this, but because nothing is being done, he is now gone. 12 years old. And there was another kitty. He was a stray cat. We do have a few strays. We put food down, we water, feed the cats. This kitty was very friendly. We get a phone call. We're out of town. Neighbor says you might want to come home. One of your cats has been killed. Sure enough, we pick up our stuff and we head home. It wasn't one of our cats personally. It was a stray cat that we kind of taken on. So I kind of consider that my cat, neighborhood cat. I think that something needs to be done. This has gotten out of hand. There is more than a dozen complaints, I'm sure, as you hear, and I'm sure you'll hear more. I try to keep my cats in, but these cats get out. Like already mentioned, it is not the dog's fault. It is the owner's fault, and they need to be held responsible. My neighbor across the street on Wall Street could not be here tonight. However, her cat Bella got chased under her porch Thankfully, the cat made it under the porch for safety. That dog, or dogs, I can't remember, then proceeded to try to attack Debbie. Luckily, she was able to get out of the way of the dogs. She got in the house and was safe. This needs to stop. I am now down a family member in my eyes, my cat. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Hernandez, 1 second. Is there anybody else wishing to speak on this topic? I'd like to allow them to go first because I know our attorney has an update. So, ma'am, if you'd like to come speak.
Mayor, Council. I'm coming at a different angle with this subject. I was an animal control officer.
Could you state your name and address for
I'm
the
sorry.
record? It's okay.
Karen Grant Kelly, and I live at 5242 State Route 90 North, Cayuga. So I don't live in the city of Auburn, but I visit the city of Auburn. So I'm coming at a different angle. I worked several years as the administrator of the Broome County Humane Society. One of my jobs was animal cruelty officer for all Broome County. And I then went on to be an animal control officer for the city of Binghamton. Briefly, city of Binghamton, population about 47,000. Auburn, 22,000. Personal experience and knowledge for 30 years, city of Binghamton has never, ever had a problem like this. Never have they had dogs running at large. They've never had a DCO that if you call and ask them, he asks you, could you please keep the dog overnight? I don't have room for it, I can't pick it up now. The way the city of Binghamton handled it was the Binghamton Police Department, if the DCO was not available, they were responsible to answer that call and take them to a shelter that the city of Binghamton funded through the licensing, the fines for dogs running at large, the fine for dangerous dogs, many different ways the funds came in to pay those DCOs and to fund the shelter for the 5 days required to keep them by law, which is what we did, and then it was up to us. I am beyond comprehension why the city of Auburn cannot come up with a solution. He's got 4 kennels in his backyard for 22,000 people. I couldn't get the census on how many dogs are licensed. I know there's several that are not licensed. We aggressively went after that. There was somebody walking down the street with 2 of their big pit bulls, 2 German Shepherds, 2 mixes, didn't matter. If they could not show proof that that dog was licensed, it was seized. They had to come to the shelter, license that dog if it wasn't, or bring proof, pay a fine for the dog not being licensed, make sure the dog has a rabies shot. If the dog was running at large, they were not taken back to the owner. They were taken to the shelter. They were fined. 3 times, you didn't get your dogs back. You were done. Dangerous dog, 1 time. 1 time. You kill the dog's kill a cat, you're done. And this is to protect the citizens of the community. It's to protect the animals of the community. Auburn needs to do this. They need to come up with the funding to fund a shelter and fund full-time dog control officer, and the Auburn police need to be responsible when that dog control officer is not available. It's simple. If a population of 47,000 people can do it with their pets, why can't Auburn do it? Ask somebody to take the dog home with them until the DCO can pick them up. Are you serious? Would you do it, Mayor? There's a stray in your yard? They say, bring it in. Can we get it tomorrow? That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So I hope you come up with a solution. I am more than willing to talk to you how we did it in Binghamton. It worked. We didn't have this issue, ever. Thank you for your time. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
Is there anybody else wishing to speak on this topic? Mr. Bishop?
My name is Andrew Bishop. My address is 84 Grand Avenue, Auburn, New York. Number of years, I've taken care of a lot of kitties. They just wander up, try to help them out as best I can. If they want to stay, they get to stay. If they're just on their way, at least I know I fed their belly and kept them warm. Now, normally, I would have filed a FOIL request with the Auburn Police Department to find out just how many times the police have come across randomly dogs running wild in the street. But in the past, as I've learned, my FOIL requests they're never answered. So I don't even usually bother, but I thought I'd bring that up. Now, I would think that a police officer that's normally in the past where I've seen them just drive right on by past a loose dog running. Now, mind you, they might have been on a run. They might have had other things to do. But I am just going by what I've seen in my own personal and gone by what I've had to deal with in the past as far as like trying to find information out. Now, normally I would say that most of the time you have an issue with the owner. But at the same time, if the problem is known and we're not addressing it in a proper and conducive manner that other communities could, quite clearly, as we've heard, can handle the situation, well, like in the past, I brought information forward to the public, and it hasn't gone anywhere. It's like a dead letter. But that's how it is. But I'm here because I believe that Phoenix deserves some justice, whether it's just this one group or two groups of dogs, or in general, people allowing their pets to run free without the benefit of a leash, without the benefit of a fence, without the benefit of a loving home. All I can say is we're going to keep doing our part to try to help these members of the community, if you will, with or without the help of the city. And I apologize if I bent anybody's nose out in the past, but as a Boy Scout and an altar boy, I was always told to tell the truth, no matter what the repercussions, no matter what. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen of the City Council. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Bishop. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Michelle Spinelli, and I'm from a little further down North Division Street at 78. And I have video of the dogs deep in my backyard. I tie my own dog to my deck deep in my own backyard at very early morning hours, sometimes 4 a.m. I have the dogs on video at, I believe, 3 a.m. I don't feel like I should have to fear for my dog, who's just a little bit same size as a cat, or myself. I'm afraid to go out there to be with my dog. So I just wanted to say it's, maybe some people may say it's just a possum. Maybe it'll say it's just a cat. I don't want to have to say it was just my dog or a child. So I just wanted to state there. I also have videos of them deep on my neighbor's porches, not Ron's porch, two other neighbors' porches, and I just feel like we need to definitely do something. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else wishing to speak on this topic? Okay, Mr. Garland, did you want to provide an update?
Yes, Mayor. I think it's important that everyone understand that the city is taking this matter seriously. Mr. Collier has been the animal control officer for the city of Auburn for a long time and has a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise, and in my opinion, he's very dedicated to his job. In fact, I believe he sustained some serious injuries over the last year in investigating a dog complaint. So that's my personal opinion regarding Mr. Collier and his dedication to his job. It's also important for us to remember that Mr. Collier, in his profession, is constrained by the rules of evidence, that any investigation that he undertakes ultimately will, if something is there, will result in him presenting to a court of competent jurisdiction evidence that must meet the rules of sufficiency. In this particular case, he would have to identify the dogs that are alleged to have hurt other animals. Sometimes that process takes more time than we wish it would, but it is a legal proceeding, and I can tell you, as my decades of practicing law, oftentimes they take longer than people would like them to take. It's an unfortunate fact of life. However, the alternative is that Mr. Collier goes into a court of law without sufficient evidence, and that case is thrown out on that basis. When I was at the DA's office, I never felt it was my duty to intervene in an ongoing legal investigation. That was the duty of the police. And when the police had a legally sufficient case, they would file that and they would bring it to me as a prosecutor. I see our role in the Corporation Counsel's office as similar when it comes to dog cases, and that is how we treat these matters. We treat them seriously. Mr. Collier came into my office today, Mayor, and met with Mr. Brennan and myself and gave us an update on the case. I can say that I'm satisfied with his progress, and in fact, after our meeting, it was brought to my attention through members of his office that they will be seeking a legal remedy in court, which will target 2 different sets of dogs, and that matter is pending, so I really don't want to get too much further into the details. It's my policy not to comment on ongoing investigations of any sort, but we're very close to the sort of remedy that I think some of the folks here would think would be just and fair. We're very close to that occurring, and Mr. Collier and his assistant have put together a case that will, in my opinion, require a judge to levy that remedy.
All right. Very good, thank you. Is there any